right. Let's dive right in to KissKast, the post-election special. We're going to be diving into what does the Starmer majority mean? What do these net gains mean for the Lib Dems, the strongest seat share they've had in, well, ever? For Reform UK MPs, what does that mean? How has the vote split? What does the political landscape look like now? But before we get into that,
if Bruce Colrick was a party, would he be the Lib Dems? That's what I'm saying.
That's a good question. I think yes.
Centre for sure, yeah.
He'd be definitely centre. Gene would be the Conservatives, I feel. Paul
would be Reform.
He would be Reform. He would 100% be Reform. And what would Eric be? I feel
Eric
like
would be Green.
Ace would be green. Ace would be green.
Oh yeah.
Ace would be green. And who's left?
Well, Eric would be Plaid Cymru.
He'd be an independent. Why would he be Plaid Cymru? Why would he be for the Welsh Nationalist Party?
I don't know. Just so he's there. Oh yeah. You can vote for them. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I think Eric would just go. Tommy Thayer and Eric Carr would just go wherever Gene and Paul went. They would just be like junior ministers, probably for the Tories, anything like that. Anyway, now we've gotten that out of the way. It's time to talk about the list. We have a list of Kiss albums ranked from worst to best, and just run through them to give you a sense of what we think of the quality. And obviously, I think it's fair to say that none of these albums necessarily we would recommend. I think that Unmasked and I would recommend Creatures of the Night, probably. I think that's a decent kind of heavy metal album, and I think Unmasked is tons of fun. But from the bottom, you've got Gene's solo album at number 17. At 16, you got Music from the Elder. Oh, by the way, Music for the Elder? You know the song Odyssey of Music for the Elder?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a cover. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I've completely missed that. It's a cover. It's not original.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I think that's mental.
They heard that and they were like, we've got to put that on our album.
No. They did. Paul heard it and was like, and he found the guy that wrote it in a bar, and I just asked him, can I cover it? And they did. Crazy. Anyway, at number 15, Hotter Than Hell. At number 14, Rock and Roll Over. Number 13, Kiss, the self-titled album. Number 12, Love Good. Number 11, Peter Criss's solo album, which should probably be at number 1, but there you go. 10, Dress to Kill. 9, Animalize. 8, Asylum. 7, Dynasty. 6, Lick It Up. 5, Destroyer. 4 is Paul's solo album. 3 is Ace's solo album. And 2 is Unmasked. And number 1 is Creatures of the Night, which is what I said, which is, like I said, is a solid, pretty good heavy metal album that you may enjoy if you like that sort of thing. But we're not here to talk about those albums. Instead, we're here to talk about Crazy Nights. I keep accidentally calling it Crazy Nights as well in my notes. That is not the name. That's the name of the song, the lead single, the jam that came off it. That is not the name. It is called Crazy Nights. And a bit of background on this album. Once again, there's not much from Gene from this period. He doesn't really give this album a look in his autobiography. Basically because, really? By all accounts, he was not there. He was very absent this period. He's probably the most absent he has ever been. So there's not much from him. Instead, we have Paul's words to go on, which, is fine. I guess he is a fascinating man. But anyway, Asylum did nearly as well as Animalize. However, the band took a sort of a break at this period once the tour for Animalize had ended. This break would only last a year, but they got up to all kinds of shenanigans within that year. During this time, Gene went off to do another film where he played a drag queen, which by all accounts is just is fucking rubbish, but I've not seen it. And Paul got a call from, get this, Tom Zutard. He asked Paul if he would be interested in producing a new band that he had just signed. Paul said, "Why not?" Because he didn't have much to do. This band was, and get this, Guns N' Roses. Maybe Alex, you could play a snippet from Welcome to the Jungle. Paul showed up at the apartment. They were Paul showed up at the apartment that Guns N' Roses were renting with his friend Howard Marks, who, was a bit of a rotund, larger man, bit of a bigger gentleman. And Paul decided it would be humorous to introduce him as his bodyguard. No one got the joke. No one laughed, apparently. Didn't go down well. And would you like to know what Paul had to say about his joke not landing?
This is in his book, by the way.
Yeah.
He wrote about this.
He wrote about this.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No one laughed
No.
at my joke.
I mean, that is bad news. If you're in Paul
tell
Stanley's
it's
company.
From him, because he said no one got it in regards to what isn't a funny thing. So I could tell him why no one laughed. It wasn't a funny thing that he said.
Not really. I don't think it was that funny. But would you like to know why? What he had to say about his joke not landing? Not.
Go on.
He
Go on,
said,
Paul.
I could see why they didn't get it. Izzy was unconscious with drool coming out of the side of his mouth. It wasn't clear if he was
for
sleeping
fuck's-
or dead. That's how rough he looked.
I mean, if there's one thing that I would advise, I know. It's just it. I think I understand why, because there's a lot of things in his autobiography that I do kind of get a sense of like, well, I could see logically why you'd say that. This isn't necessarily one of them, by the way, but I can say like why you thought that. That does sound unfair. I get it. It's just the whining and the negativity. Page after page after page. Say a nice thing about someone. Come on, you've got so much to be thankful for. Anyway. If there's one thing you should not do in his company, I think, is not laugh at his jokes. I think that he would not enjoy that. I think he's that much of a narcissist that he would probably rip your head off with his bare hands if he did not find one of his jokes amusing. Anyway, Axl Rose played Paul Night Train, and Paul suggested that they use the chorus as a pre-chorus and that another chorus could come in after. Axl never spoke to him again. Paul, it's true. I mean, I'm not being funny. It takes one to know one, Paul. Let's be honest. Paul also got along with Slash and even offered to hook him up with some free guitars, which is a nice
I heard
thing,
about
nice
this.
gesture.
Yes, very nice, Paul.
It's a nice thing.
But
Oh, well, we're not there yet, Danny. There is a
Okay,
but. There is a but. This is it's a bit like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. This out there with Guns N' Roses. Later that crazy night, see what I did there? Paul showed them. Paul went to go see them live, and despite Night Train needing a second chorus, he said that he knew he was seeing true greatness. According to Paul, he saw them again. And Slash asked him to help out with their sound because Guns N' Roses were not happy with the guy that was mixing their sound that night. And all ended well. And Paul went to go on to produce Appetite Destruction, which was a massive hit. Wrong! That's not what happened. Because decades later, Slash's recollection would be, and this is quoting Paul,
faulty at best.
He liked to pretend I'll do it in his voice, actually, because this is quoting him. He went,
He liked to pretend that I had meddled with their sound. God forbid the guy from Kiss would have anything to do with Guns N' Roses. What could be worse than the guy from Kiss of all things?
and then he went on to say,
There's obviously a reason why defense attorneys don't put alcoholics or drug addicts on the witness stand.
I mean, will you just chill out, chill the fuck out, Matt? It's not proportional. I do not think that's.
Does Paul Stanley feel that he has to be good at live sound engineering? Why does he need to be good at that?
I think it's more the association he doesn't like. It's
Just
not
any type of negativity.
Yeah, and also I'm not being funny.
About him.
I think that's it. I think it's any negativity. And by the way, I could totally see maybe there not being enough guitars coming out the left monitor, and him running up to the sound engineer and going, "What are you doing?" Like I kind of just kind of see that maybe that could have happened. So I do sympathise with Slash a little bit. To be
completely
fair,
sympathise with Slash.
I think it's...
I bet it was shit. I'm with Slash. I bet it was shit. What does Paul Stanley know about live sound? He is a performer.
Well, I think he probably knows a bit, doesn't he? I don't know, actually.
Okay,
I mean,
in the same way, we've done a bunch of gigs, Alexei, right?
Yeah.
Would you be
I suppose.
confident for an upcoming band to help them out with their live set?
I suppose.
To do sound for them?
But also, if Paul Stanley showed up at one of my gigs, I'd probably say, and he went,
"Would you like me to do the sound for you?"
I'd go, "Yes, absolutely."
Yeah, and then judge him
hilarious.
on how it goes.
Yeah, I suppose.
I'm sorry, this one, but it's because of what he said later about Slash that I'm already on Slash's side here.
Oh,
I already know a bit of this story.
I don't think I have. I don't think I have that. Okay, well, we'll get to that. I think it's just anything that's negative. I think it's anything that's negative, really. That's said. However, I do agree that maybe bringing it down to criticizing them for their drug and alcohol use and say this is why they don't put them on the witness stand is not proportional, and that is a huge dick move just because they said you meddled with their sound. That is not proportional.
What would he have to gain from meddling with their sound?
I don't know.
Was he trying to sabotage them?
I could totally see him doing that. That makes fucking perfect sense.
Oops. Oops. A bit too much kick drum, I think. Bring down the vocal. There's only room for one band.
What? Oh, sorry.
What I heard was that after this thing about him saying that...
I've got that. Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Okay, go on then.
Okay, I'll get to that. To be fair, Paul does go on to say that Slash called him gay and made fun of his clothes.
That's what,
which I suppose is not okay. No. Slash probably shouldn't have done that.
No.
However, I need to choose my words. I need to choose my words carefully here. If you watch the video for All Night or Tears Are Falling or what's the other one? Who Wants to Be Lonely? Maybe Slash wasn't saying it in a negative way. Maybe he was saying, "Oh, I wonder if he's gay." Not like he's gay, thus he is a bad person. He could have watched one of those videos and go, "Ooh, I wonder if Paul's gay." That's not necessarily the same thing. That was all I'm saying.
To be fair, though, I mean, you could be right, Alexei, but back then, I don't think many people
probably
sadly
not.
were
Probably
using
not.
that word.
No,
yeah,
I think you're
heard
probably
from Slash
right.
as well. He doesn't seem like that sort of type of guy to be like, I wonder.
Yeah, I did probably. Anyway, yeah, Slash should not have done that. That is not okay. I hope he's a reformed character now. Anyway, surprisingly enough, Paul did not end up producing Appetite for Destruction. And to quote Paul,
"No surprise there."
Bit bitter, pal. Bit bitter on that one. Slash, however, did take him up on the offer of free gear. But Paul... do you want to know what Paul told him? Or can or do you want to guess?
I think I might know this one.
Okay, I'll tell you. He told him to
Go fuck yourself!
Yes, he did. He did. He told him to go fuck himself.
Okay, that's not the bit of the quote.
This night scarred him. This night scarred him for life. There is, okay, there is a bit of the quote that comes before it, but it wasn't funny, so I didn't put it in.
No.
There's a bit
right,
where he
the
says,
point I've been waiting to make, Alexei.
All right, go on, yeah, go on.
No, it's what you were about to say. He said, that's what happens when you air your dirty laundry out in public. The fucking gall of Paul Stanley to criticize someone
In
for
this
that.
book. You've edged all this
Yeah.
book. The pages are made out of dirty trousers, Paul, of your book. I agree.
I'm sorry, I picked my mic. I got so angry at Paul for that. It's just,
I know, the fucking ball, the fucking goal. Maybe you could make that. I think I'm being on Paul's side too much here, but I think maybe you could take the argument that maybe he was like, maybe with the autobiography, he was like,
I have had enough. This ends here.
do you know what I mean?
Okay. I think that must be true, but
Like it was all
Still.
building up, and he was like, he just couldn't bottle any of it in any longer. Anyway,
I think it's fair for him to tell Slash, look, man, I'm not going to help you after you spoke about me behind my back. That's fine. But for him to make such a song and dance about it after the fact, and really just say, oh, well, that's what happens when you act like that. Well, that's all he's done throughout his whole fucking book is throw people under the bus.
Yeah, consistently, time after time after time. Yeah, no, I agree. It's pot meets kettle. You shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
During this time, as well, Paul met Keith Richards, who told him he was. This is going to be another anecdote that goes horribly wrong. Where he tells Keith Richards to go fuck himself.
I met him and he smelled like shit and he was fucking dumb looking.
He looks like a goblin, and I was scared. And oh my, his teeth.
Yeah, so he met Keith Richards and Keith Richards told him that that Keith Richards was offered the chance to buy anything from Kiss's old warehouse, which has a lot of stages in it and memorabilia, guitars, stuff like that. And Paul thought,
What is this? The legendary British sense of humor?
no, Paul, it wasn't. It turns out that, oh, by the way, if you listen to his autobiography, he does an impression of Keith Richards, which is very, very bad. I highly recommend you go check it out. It's very, very bad. So, what, mate? I could have bought all of it. It's fucking rubbish.
Doesn't
Anyway,
even talk like that.
No, not really, no. Turns out this was true. Bill O'Coin, the old manager, was selling gear out of the back door to feed his coke habit. So
I don't know that.
that's pretty sad, isn't it? It's proper sad.
Yeah.
However, also Paul in the same book does say that Bill O'Coin was basically a paedophile. So, fuck that man. Obviously, if that is true. But they decided to move everything from the warehouse to a different storage space to get away from Bill. Wouldn't you just change the locks? I don't understand why you'd have to move like everything to another space. Why wouldn't you just change the locks? Like, is Bill that much
Maybe
of
they
a man?
know him.
He's a
It's
master
like,
thief.
He could get in one way or the other.
He's burrow under the wall.
Anyway, their current managers were not great, so Paul decided to make his therapist Kiss's business manager. I don't know about that. I don't think that's a good idea.
What?
I don't think that's a good idea at all. Neither did Gene, apparently. I'm starting to warm to Gene a little bit. But there you go. So, but they did get back into the studio, With the same problems as before, Gene was not pulling his weight, and Paul was not even sure if Gene had written his songs himself, or at least had contributed very little to them. I don't want to give too much away about the album. I think Paul is right. I'm not sure Gene wrote these songs, or at least didn't contribute that much to them.
Yeah,
I do not want to give too much away, but I really don't get the sense that he wrote a lot of them. There are certain moments in the songs where I'm like, that kind of sounds like something he would write. Anyway, not to give too much away. But we're moving on. To Paul, this dynamic was not working for Paul. This dynamic had been going back right through to Animalize. Gene had been like this for a long time. So one day outside the studio, Paul asked Gene to get in his car, and he fucked him. No.
I fucking stopped myself from interjecting with the same joke.
And he was all going that way. He was only going to go one way, and he fucked him.
And how do you like that?
Paul, get off me. No, that's not what happened.
That's not what happened, no.
No, that's not what happened. Paul took a deep breath and fucked him.
For fuck's sake. I know what quote you're about to say. Do I have to fucking read?
No, that's just what happened. He fucked it. Anyway, Paul took a deep breath and let it all out. He let it all out. He was not happy. He said, Gene, you need to pull your weight. We're only here because of me, blah, 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 blah. And this heart-to-heart between the two of them lasted a few days with them talking over the phone. Obviously, this worked because a few days later, Gene handed Paul a Jaguar brochure. He wanted to get Paul a Jaguar to say thank you for keeping the band going. Paul said,
Thank you, but I have my eyes on a Porsche.
The Porsche in the video, for Reason to Live, by the way, is actually the Porsche that Paul acquired. Gene bought it for him. The song Crazy Night, Crazy Night, had been a big hit in Europe, in the UK especially, and they did a tour of Europe and the UK. Paul started to date the singer Samantha Fox, the singer. Well, she did have a hit. She's more famous for being a page 3 model. And they went to go see the smash hit musical Phantom of the Opera together. And you might think, oh, Alexei, this isn't relevant. Put a pin in it, though, because it does come up again later on. The show deeply affected Paul. According to Paul, when the Phantom got his mask removed to reveal his
hideously disfigured face,
Paul audibly gasped in the theatre. I can see that now.
Oh, goodness!
It affected Paul because it reminded him of obviously his own life, growing up with a deformity, blah, 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 blah. However, back in Kiss, things were not well. Eric had stopped talking to Paul. He wouldn't talk to Paul at all. According to Paul, he sat Eric down and
read him the riot act.
This worked. However, Paul said things with Eric had become increasingly odd. And they had always sort of been quite odd. If Paul was in LA, he would invite Eric to come over. To which Eric would respond with, is anyone else going to be there? If there was anyone else there, yeah. If there was anyone else there, Eric would refuse to come. Probably because Paul would bully him, I imagine. I reckon he would bully and belittle Eric in front of him.
Wait. You're saying if somebody else was coming, then Eric wouldn't go. So Eric wanted to be one-on-one.
Yeah, he just wanted to be one-on-one. Maybe he didn't like how Paul was around other people.
Yeah, like
that. I thought the same, Alex. I thought it was Like,
No.
I want to hang out with others, not you.
Yeah, I can't bear
No,
you
he said he
to
wouldn't
just
go to
talk one-on-one
something
with you, sort of thing.
No. Paul
Yeah.
would say,
They're nice people. Come over. We're having fun.
and but I think it's because he would belittle him in front of his friends, make a joke out of him.
It's possible.
That's what I think. That is possible, yeah. Eric would also obsess on the Crazy Nights tour about not being the original drummer, which he often would do, which is a shame. Now, we're sort of coming to the end of the background. There's not really much on this record, to be honest. But I would like you... Have you noticed anything? Any names sort of missing from Paul's sort of account of this period?
I guess Bruce. I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's happening with Bruce?
Bruce
Our
didn't
favourite.
get a fucking mention. Not once. Why waste ink on saying nice thing? He has 4 co-writes on this album, and not one mention.
And
It
feels like he's single-handedly saved the past few albums for Kiss. At least in my
Probably.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to know what he added to the mix and, how he worked with them and what he sort of brought to the band. But no, why waste a word count on that? I do have some stuff from the producer, though. The producer, Ron Nevison, said most of the work that he would do in the studio was with Bruce and Paul. He also said Gene played no bass on this album at all. He only just did lead vocals. And that most of the time when Gene was in the studio, he was sat on a sofa reading Variety magazine. He didn't contribute much at all. The album did very well in England and peaked at number 18 on Billboard, which is the highest charting of their sort of 80s material. And apparently, when the album was played for the record executives in the fall, the whole conference room stood up and applauded. That makes perfect sense to me, having listened to this album. I think
Yeah, I'm
just
not sure that's
purely
the pat on the back that you
purely
really
from a
looking
commercial, purely from a commercial perspective. I'm like, of course they did. Of course they did. Because this album is for the time is a gold mine for the time, an absolute gold mine. In general, though, this album is a bit polarizing, I think. I keep hearing mixed sort of reactions on it. A lot of Kiss fans, like a lot of purists, don't like it. Like I've gone through lists similar to ours. Hate to break it. This is not an original concept. There are other people that have made lists like this. And this is nearly always at the bottom. Like below Music for the Elder, below everything.
No.
Mostly.
No way.
Yeah, always at the bottom. Always at the bottom.
I've heard people don't like it.
Yeah, they don't like it. They call it Kiss Jovi, and there's too much keyboards. But I think that's just kind of fucking boomers in cowboy hats that like rock and roll over, that have no taste at all in music. In my personal view, not to give too much away. That's
I
my
understand putting it like in the middle or somewhere, but to put it at the bottom.
They're just like,
Okay,
it's not
okay.
Kiss. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't fucking working before. So, but to bring my own story into it, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Because what's more important to the background than, my relationship with this album? This is the only Kiss album I have on vinyl, by the way. The only one. You might remember when we were talking about Creatures for the Night, I mentioned that when I was about 11, I think I was 11 or 12, I asked my mum for 2 Kiss albums for Christmas. She came back with Creatures of the Night and this album. Now, Creatures for the Night, as I was saying before, I put on first because it had the makeup on, the title track, crushed. But you would still have things like Saint and Sinner on it, and Killer and Rock and Roll Hell, which I thought were quite boring, which I think were quite boring at the time. So I was a bit like, and I still got a lot of love for that album, nostalgically. However, it's not even got a patch on this album in terms of nostalgia. I I fucking loved this album, and I played it for numerous people, and they also fucking loved this album back in the day. This is just back in the day. So I'm going to try... I have a long history with this album, you know, and it's probably the only Kiss album that I still will listen to songs off on a semi-regular basis. Do you know what I mean? I'd say at least once or twice a month I will play something off this, whether it's on the record, on my vinyl, or whether it's, you know, I'll stream it or whatever. There's a lot of love for me for this album. Now, what I'm curious about is, well, actually, does this album just really sound like Animalize, or does this album actually just sound like Asylum? And is nostalgia that's powerful that I do not see it? That I cannot see it. So I'm really, really curious to get into that, because you guys don't have the same connection to this album as I do. But I'm being 100% honest with you. I really tried to go into this as objectively as possible. Okay.
Understood. Well, so did I, Alexei. I have to say, we're very close, and by proxy, I have to admit that I can't come at this album as objectively as I'd like to. I've tried to.
I tried.
But just from knowing
really
you,
tried.
In fact, we'll get into it in the first track, actually. That's not even through you. I have another relationship with this first track that's more to do with Alex, actually. I don't even know if he remembers.
Really?
Well, not indirectly connected to it. It's not like Alexei, where like you played that album a lot, Alexei, when I used to come over.
Loved it.
To the point where I'm actually surprised how little I remember of this album. There's at least 50% of tracks I have no memory for on here. But let's try and be objective, boys. And then ultimately probably fail, but let's try.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, let's get into the cover. I think this is I think this is a good cover. I think it's the best of the 80s era. I think the Broken Glass gives it a very kind of hedonistic 80s wild kind of these are the nights of our lives feel, which you know sums up the vibe of the album really, really well. And I do sort of like that. I think it's cool. I think it suits the album very well. Again, you know, I would not feel shortchanged from looking at the cover for this album. I think what you see is what you get from the cover, in my opinion. You know, it's got that vibe. However, it's, you know, it's pop metal 80s excess, and I think it's visualized quite well with this image. If you're going to have the members, I guess, on the front cover, which they like to do a lot. They've been a bit more creative with it with the Broken Glass. I think it fits the brief fine. Although, similar criticisms to the previous albums, it doesn't have an identity, really.
Yeah.
Like, this could be Poison, this could be Warrant, this could be Poison, this could be Warrant, this could be Cinderella. It doesn't really have an identity. However, I would say it is definitely a bit more creative and aesthetically pleasing and more suiting of the music than Animalize, Asylum, or Lick It Up. Alex, what do you think, mate?
When you say the 80s area, are you talking just like without the makeup on?
Oh, sorry, my bad. Sorry, yeah, because I just associate that with the 80s. I just mean unmasked. The unmasked period, so without the makeup, yeah.
Yeah, because I would say Creatures of the Night is better than this.
Oh, yeah, that's better than this, yeah.
I kind of get what you mean, Alexei. I think it's just fine. The thing that makes me laugh about this cover, though, is the little versions they've put of themselves next to them.
Yeah.
Like,
little Paul.
I know what they're trying to go for, but it looks as though they've just got little, like, you know, little guys on their shoulders, just little poking through, a little Paul, a little Gene, a little Eric. I think that's really silly. That does not come through well. And I don't have much more to say. But have you guys seen the back cover as well? Which isn't anything
of course
like
I have.
special.
I got this on vinyl. There's this disgusting thing on the back. There's this disgusting thing on the back where Paul is wearing like a thong, and the strap of the thong is like riding up over his thigh. It is vile. It is so disgusting.
Well, that's it. The back, like,
by the way, I have
special
not.
about it. But then, like,
this is how
the tone
this is how
of
well.
all
Sorry,
doesn't match.
Sorry, this is how well I know this album. I have not got a copy of that image in front of me. That is just burnt into my head. Him with his, and it's like blue, isn't it? It's like blue.
Yeah.
It's like satin or something.
Well, that's it. Paul just stands out so much on the back there. He's just going for something which the other three members are really not.
Yeah.
And
I remember when I was younger.
Very healthy.
I remember. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He looks good for his age because they're like 41 at this point.
no.
Yeah. It's. I do remember thinking, looking at the back, like being like 12 or whatever, thinking like, who the fuck is that? I don't like that. That's not for me. That.
Well, the other three members are just struggling to stand out whatsoever. I mean, even Gene here just looks like just a regular dude, which is really not like him. He always tries to give it a bit of extra something, doesn't he?
I think that's kind of, in a way though. I think that's kind of what he should be doing in a band. He should just be at the back playing bass.
Yes, I agree, but I'm saying it's a change for him, which is quite shocking, I think, for who his personality. Danny, any more to add?
I'm amazed you guys have said so much. It looks accurate to the sound, like you said, Alexei. It matches the sound, but it is goofy. Anytime they show their faces so close, which is most of the time, I just don't think it goes well. It's just how seriously they take themselves with the faces that they're pulling here. How Eric never seems to get the memo, or at least he's trying and failing.
Yeah. I don't think Eric's good at photo shoots, is he? Let's be honest.
No, they've done the same thing. They did it on a previous album where any way you hold it is the right way around.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did that with Rock and Roll Over. They did it with Rock and Roll Over.
That was it Rock and Roll Over, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I don't know. It's so of its it looks so old.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have the vocabulary to describe, like the lighting, like just the way they look. It looks so retro and old.
Yeah.
It's not my thing, but again, accurate. It fits this album to a T. So
yeah, exactly.
That's
And I
all I have
think
to say.
the great failings of their albums in the past has been like wicked covers, really unexciting. If the feeling that you're getting shortchanged by the music. Gene's solo album being the worst one by Country Mile, and that to be fair doesn't happen on this. And I think that's what you should. I mean, that's what at the bare minimum that's what you should do with an album cover. Be like, oh, I like 80s hair metal. That looks like 80s hair metal. Oh, it is 80s hair metal. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, you're right.
But let's get into it. Title track, Crazy Crazy Nights. This is from Paul. Danny, what do you make of this?
Well, this is the one I really have to say that I have a history with this song. And
Yeah, same.
what it is back when I was in my first ever band, and Alex was in this band, and we were not even teenagers yet. This was before the three of us had even tried forming a band together, which we did many times throughout secondary school. But in this band, I remember being in our drummer's attic and listening to this song, and I had never heard it. And that was quite a formative thing. So frankly, I love this song. It means a lot to me. And it just reminds me of being in that band with you, Alex, and all those cringy things we were doing that were just so magical and wonderful at the time. It sort of sounded like the same feeling I got from a lot of pop punk music, which is I kind of thought this is what teenage life would be like. It would feel like this sound. And it was both very right and very wrong. I think I did have many crazy nights as I grew up, but not in the way maybe that this song sounds like. I would love the confidence to write this sort of song. Just no irony. Just absolute confidence in the sort of naive message. Alexei, you might use the word cynical. Is that what you're about to say? Like there's a sort of cynicism to this song.
No, I don't think there's a cynicism to it at all. No, I was going to entirely agree with you. Actually, I think one of the great strengths of this album is how naive and, Kiss always goes on about like, Kiss is about loving yourself and, loving life.
Yeah, this is that.
And I do think, and I do genuinely think this album, that naivety is one of its great strengths, and it does it very, 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 very well. And I think it is genuinely quite life-affirming. However, again, I just can't look at this from an objective point of view. But carry on, sorry.
Well, no, this track, I'm really in agreement with you there, Alexei, because like I say, I've written like this is their best chorus hands down for me. I love the guitar
Really?
solos. I love the key changes. It's like 2, I think.
Yeah, there's
I didn't
two,
count.
yeah, there's 2.
It holds up to me. Just listening to this the past few weeks, I've been so happy. I liked reading that this was like bigger in the UK than any of their other stuff.
It is.
and bigger
It's their
in the
biggest
UK than in
hit.
the States.
It's their biggest hit because
Yeah.
to me, this is their best known song over here. So I was like, this song is iconic.
Absolutely.
This is the only Kiss song you genuinely hear on a night out. This is the only song you might hear at your
Yes,
prom and
it's the
at a
only
disco,
one.
at a wedding and stuff like this. Is the only one. And I was like, why is it big? And then I discovered it was only a hit over here.
It checks out so much, and so
Like,
again, we're
to me,
probably
this-
not just victims
this is-
of our own personal nostalgia, but some weird national nostalgia
Yeah,
that we're
exactly.
feeling. And we should clarify, this is before our time still. We weren't born yet.
It is mental that we are as nostalgic for this as we are, because this is like
Yes.
totally like this is years before I was even born. Like the thing is that this is like, to me in like the America, this is like considered, oh, this is like their stab at being Bon Jovi. Over here, this is their biggest thing. This is like an iconic song. This is the only one you'll hear on the radio, like on Absolute 80s and stuff like that. This is the only
Yeah.
one.
I don't even necessarily. I mean, of course, the comparison is apt to Bon Jovi, but I like this more than any Bon Jovi song. Now, yeah, I'm
I
not
agree.
exactly. I haven't heard that much Bon Jovi because this generally isn't the sort of music that I seek out. But again, it comes back to this formative nostalgia that I feel for it. When I was listening to this in preparation for this was the highest moment yet. I love this song. It's emotional to me, and that's funny. I can also see that it's funny that
Yeah,
this
I
is in
get
some
it,
weird
yeah.
way an emotional song to me.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of learning to be in a rock band and making some of my best friends ever and like I say, yeah, getting ready to grow up, this song to me. The last bridge post solo change up is really good before the final breakdown. And I love
Yeah.
the final breakdown. The
Nobody's
what I mean is the
gonna
last bit where it
change
goes,
me.
they're
Yeah.
trying to tell us that we don't belong.
Oh, that one. That one's fantastic.
Yeah, that last build
brilliant.
up to the breakdown with the, like you said, Alexei, that no one's gonna change me. It makes me feel old that it wasn't even like 20 years after its release that I was loving it, because it seemed ancient.
Oh, that's right.
when I first heard
Yeah.
it, right? It wasn't even a 20-year-old song when I first heard it, which is correct. 'Cause it'd probably been about 2005 that I first heard this. So
Yeah.
I've said a lot. I'm probably not going to talk about any other song there's one other actually, a couple maybe.
Yeah.
But whereas the rest of my familiarity with this album is purely through you, Alexei, just being at your house. This one I did come to through a different direction. It's why I asked for their greatest hits that year, which I was. This was the first track, and I was largely disappointed by the rest.
Yeah.
We've had just about everything else on that album now. It was all their early stuff. You know, it's like rock and roll all night and stuff.
Wait, no, I would have had God Gave Rock and Roll to you on it, surely.
Yeah, that's the one that's left. That's true.
Okay.
That's still coming.
Yeah.
Anyway, I should let someone else talk about this. I love it. I love this song. It's the highest moment yet. Alex, what do you think?
Oh God, yeah, I completely forgot about hearing this song at that moment, Danny. Though I have many Kiss-related memories associated with that time. And I don't know if we're going to talk about that in the future, but a certain TV show and Gene and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's definitely going to come up.
Yeah.
And I do think it's so funny the way you're speaking about it, because it feels like we should be talking about Rock and Roll All Night, because that seems like the one where it's like you know, forming a rock band and that sort of idea. But we're not. Crazy Night is really silly, but I can't get away from that feeling you're talking about, Danny. Like, there is just this. When we started this podcast, in the back of my mind, I thought, well, when are we gonna get to Crazy Night?
Yeah.
And Turn on the Night as well. Let's be honest. It was such a joyous moment to finally get here and to listen to this. And we're saying we're trying to be objective. When I try to be, it's just so difficult.
I'm like, but they just bang.
Yeah.
It just bangs. I can't. Like, what? How can? It's like getting someone to try to dissect why like ice cream is good. It's like I don't. And
also, are people really
good?
throwing their fists in the air to Rock and Roll All Night like you can to this song? To me, that's just.
Okay,
they sound so different.
All right, so you put the image in your head. You're with you're in a club. You're with like your best friends, and you're all in a circle, like drunk, and you just like got your arms around each other, jumping up and down. What bangs harder, Rock and Roll All Night or this? There's no question.
No question.
No question.
Sorry.
No, your
Alex,
friends,
sorry.
Million strong.
No, okay. So the idea of just like trying to look at it just objectively, I mean, it's so clean cut, and I guess this is the why that like Kiss fans don't like it, because it is just
it's very polished.
It's very polished, full on 80s pop
better.
with the guitar.
Like we were saying, the mix on Asylum and Animalize was fucking rubbish. This at least sounds polished and decent and presentable.
That's a good point.
It sounds presentable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's not one point we listen to the production on this where the only thing that sticks out is like, oh, it's proper 80s and it's very dated. I wouldn't fly it now, but it's like, but
that
you
suits them.
It does. I'm like, well, they're presenting it in the cleanest form possible, and that's what suits these songs the best. If it had been a shitty production,
and we've been saying since Destroyer that good production suits the band. They're not this gritty,
much better.
off the streets.
They're not the MC5.
Sorry, Alex. Me and Alexei are
you know what I mean?
riffing like crazy on this.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's
Sorry,
fine.
Alex,
all I
you're
have...
dead. It's because Alex dared to what seemed like may have been a criticism. I was like, you fucking what?
No. What I was getting to is that it's a super clean song, but you get it with an awesome chorus, and then just the added spice of Paul just going off on one and just adding his stupid ad libs and just giving it his sass.
Yeah.
No one's going to change him.
I think.
And it's
I think
he uses his voice so well in the song. Like, I really love how he kind of starts. He does a lot of like kind of not spoken word, but sort of like lower down sort of stuff, and it gradually builds and builds and builds. And like you guys saying, that chorus is just anthemic in like in the best possible way. That is made for a large group of people to sing. And everyone else does well also. Bruce, good job. Eric, great job. Gene, is he on the song? I don't know.
Well, technically, no. If he didn't play bass,
yeah,
He might be on the backing vox of the chorus.
No,
maybe?
I can't hear him. Doesn't sound like him.
Okay. Well,
what else is there to say?
What else is there to say? Exactly. Wait, well, I think this song is... I know, you guys have covered it. This song is fucking sick. It's a masterclass in anthemic pop songwriting, particularly of the 80s. The hook is powerful. Again, Danny made an excellent point about the naivety, and I think that's something that this album does so well. It's just, it's so naive and just about, you should love life. You should embrace life, to have fun. And that's not music I'm genuinely geared towards. But...
no.
I feel this is a genuinely really well executed feel good anthem. Like, this is meant to be played again on a night out with your friends when you're incredibly pissed, basically, and it goes off when it does that. The bridge, I think, is probably the best part of the song. The ascending. They try to tell us that we don't believe. It's so good. It's so good, and then the chorus really, really caps it off. It's such a satisfying climax. Such a good release. And again, like, this is going to sound ridiculous, but for Kiss, every section fits. It's not like a lot of other Kiss songs where you're like, oh, there's an odd
that's
section.
True, yeah.
There's an odd section here, there's a lot of cuts on their other albums where, where you're like, oh, that. But even Creatures of the Night, which is probably their best song, bar this maybe. One of their best songs. It's 100% an incredible song. Has a weird middle 8-bit in it. Doesn't really fit. And on a deeper level, I just, and every part in this song feels purposeful and that it's meant to be there for Kiss. That is sometimes really unusual. On a deeper level, I love this song. It reminds me of so many different times in my life. It's shown up again and again and again. It reminds me of my dad. It reminds me of my first girlfriend. It reminds me of my old house. It reminds me of my student house. It reminds me of Corporation, the nightclub. It reminds me of Christmas at my nan's. Like, it reminds me of your house, Danny. It reminds me of going to prom. This was played at our prom, like the song, and I remember it being played.
It?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember it being played. Yeah. And
rings
they
a bell,
at summer of '69, because I became obsessed with summer of '69. After that, I was like, this song is hilarious. This song, you know, I've gone through the years with this song, and it's always kind of showing up, you know, and it bangs every time. It bangs, you know. I know there maybe are criticisms, however, I just can't. It stirs up nothing but nostalgia and love. It's great. Also, it's got a very, very fucking good guitar solo.
Oh,
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Track 2.
All right.
Move on. I'll Fight Hell to Hold You. I think this album could have had 5 or 6 singles off it. Hands down. I think and this could have easily have been one of them. I love this song. When I was younger, this was one of my favourites off the album. And it still is now. It's one of my favourite Kiss songs. Like, this is... it's 80s as fuck. Like, it's really, really 80s. But it's dramatic, and the groove is really, really good. It's got a similar sort of, like, staccato sort of groove as King of the Mountain. You know, the... But this works a lot better. The solos are just fucking ridiculous. The solos are insanely good. And Paul's vocals... Paul's vocals are extraordinary. Like, he really is pushing it. Like, he really is pushing his voice. Like, his range is ridiculous. But it does work. It works. It sounds passionate. It sounds awake. This also goes to show that even though this album is definitely going for hooks over more kind of jammy, intense shit like King of the Mountain and stuff like that, they could still get it together, deliver it, and still give a really good hook at the same time. Like, I played this for someone that we were at school with that thought Kiss was shit. I won't give names. And they thought it was badass. In fact, I played this for a few people that don't like Kiss, and they've said that this is good. Like, you know, or they'd come round to it slightly. I love it. Also, you know, like I said about the production, unlike on previous records, the production is just so much better. Like, again, it's very, very 80s. But you listen to the mix on this, everything's mixed good. The levels are good. You can hear everything well. Everything's clean. It's punchy. It does the job. You know, at least for this sort of music, it works very, very well. This is sick. This is a really, really, really good song. Alex, what do you say?
Yeah, I mean, like we kind of mentioned with the last track, like when Kiss have the right mixing production behind them, and it finds a way to harness or project their, especially Paul's like drive and power. I mean, it's hard to deny. I don't think this song is particularly as good as you're saying, Alexei. Like, I think it's a little bit all over the place, especially the verse is sort of like, I don't know. I don't think it could be a single, like you're saying. I really don't think this could be a single.
I think so. The hooks. I could see a video. I could see. Definitely.
I could definitely see a video of them on like a cliff, and it's like, you know, the camera's like panning around them, sort of thing. But I do love the sort of like the chorus and, like, say, the drive of it. And he's just belting, isn't he? I mean, just so dramatic and over the top. I don't think it's like a classic song. It's not in like the tier we were talking about before. But awesome solos and awesome singing. So this one is a thumbs up from me. Danny?
Yeah, similar to you, Alex. I felt like after the first track, I could sort of breathe out and be like, okay, I can do what we normally do here and try and be objective and actually take it on its merits. I think this song does sound so... It really sounds different to what's come before, even throughout the 80s. This is where I started, like we've been talking about, the production and just how they've just turned it all up in regards to the 80s-ness. The mix is better, which is great. There's a lovely opening guitar solo.
Can we try to explain what we mean by like the 80s-ness? Sorry, Danny. But like, is it sort of... Is that like a guitar tone? Is that like a mixing style?
It's the tones, in it. It's like the timbre of everything.
Well, and also, yeah, like gated snares with like that weird unnatural reverb is something that happens a lot with 80s production. And I think for our maybe people would disagree. For my ear, someone our age, I think it's like it's too wet. There's too much, which creates mud in a mix. Especially with metal and even a lot of modern pop, you kind of want things to punch, especially in regards to the drums. You want things to punch you, and also, especially nowadays, people want there to be a lot of bass and stuff like that, which I feel like often gets lost in those old mixes.
Poor Gene.
But of course, like, this doesn't have the shortcomings of the previous, I don't know how many albums in terms of the mix. I'm not thinking, oh god, this is so grating, and getting tired listening to it. Sorry, I hope I explained that all right. But yeah, the guitar solo in the opening is amazing, and when it comes in later, it's so clean, and he's just fucking killing it.
Yeah, he's such a good guitar player.
Lovely, just mental runs that are so energetic.
Yeah, and melodic as well, though.
Yeah, and more rhythmic than the previous guitarist. I think that's where he's got the edge on the previous two. He's like you say, he's thinking more melodically, I think, than the previous two guitarists. There's a big contrast between, like, the bridge is major, but the chorus and the verse are both minor. I think it's interesting that he's lost almost all rasp here, which I have to be honest, I do find a bit harder. That becomes grating to me, because when he's rasping and I hear his voice strain, that's part of it. That's part of the, like, he's tearing his voice apart. But here, without distortion and rasp and vocal compression, I'm just sort of hearing him strain for the note more. So it's less just, like, raw, I suppose, to me.
Yeah.
This really is pop music.
That's it, though, isn't it? This is pop music. I mean, this is what I'm trying to get at, really, is that this is pop music. This is very, very accessible. It's not clunky. This is clean cut. This is a song. The bits fucking fit. They work together. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, it's like, you know, even you know, when you think of them at their worst on previous albums, it's like nothing really fits, nothing gels, it's played badly, it's, you know, it sounds like shit. This is like well presented, well played, everything fits together. There's some real high points on it. It's exciting. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm coming at? This is pop, basically, and they're better at it than they are hard rock.
Yes. Well, yeah, and I don't think we love this song like you do, Alexei, but I wrote for better and for worse. So I think, and I see both of that throughout this album. I do think this was their hour, and they're finally what they should be on this album. Like, you know, as I say, for better and for worse. I think others really would say, especially across the pond, that the 70s was their time. But as we've kept saying throughout this whole exercise, they always have sounded old in comparison to their peers.
Absolutely,
even like their first albums, it's like 74, their first album. You know, we've had that sound for a while when they entered the scene, and then they were late to disco. They were comically late to prog. They were even a bit late to the sort of new wave of metal at the start of the 80s. Yeah. But it's like they were constantly searching for a sound, and then the industry just collectively found it at the same time. And while I don't think they were like ahead of the curve necessarily, I suppose you could look at their older stuff and say that they were influencing this sound. Yeah. But at least they were there to ride it this time. They weren't late this time.
Yeah,
that's the difference, I think. I've got a bit conclusion-y there, but I think that's what I was thinking on this track.
Yeah,
I was like,
definitely.
I'm not loving it, but this is Kiss. This is what Kiss should be. Yeah. And that's it, basically. It's all right. It's a good chorus.
Yeah. That's it, innit? This is like, you know what I mean? Like, this is like, you know, you could be like, I'm not loving it, it's not my thing, but it's like, it's, you know, like, I mean, I think this is really good, but I have a personal connection with it and stuff like that. But it's certainly like palatable, poppy, cookie, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, next one.
Can you message me who you're talking about? Like, that didn't like Kiss and this made them like.
Well, we could just bleep it out, couldn't we? I can stay after.
But then Alex has to do it. Just message me later. I'm curious.
Okay, no worries.
Anyway.
Bang Bang You, Paul. Danny, why don't you start this one?
The first thing I wrote is just that the build up to the chorus is good, and it's not the best chorus.
What
I have to be honest. I'm not big on the
2, 3, 4.
no, just before the chorus.
Oh,
That's the bridge, but the bit after that.
I just can't
Yeah, yeah.
wait. Yeah.
That bit. It builds up well. The arrangement's good. I don't think the chorus lives up to the previous 2 tracks. I wrote synth brass, my god. It is so. I was blindsided to hear that. And again, but it, like I say that, but it fits Kiss. Not my sound, not my thing. But I can't say it doesn't fit Kiss in a way that
Yeah.
I'm sure the people you're talking about, the people wearing cowboy hats, Alexei, probably would say
Yeah.
that this just isn't Kiss. But to me, it totally is Kiss.
I think so. Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I wrote. I said, I bet people hate this, and I'm not loving it, but does this not suit them to a T?
Yeah.
I went on a bit about the mix being better. It's still dated production-wise, obviously, especially with like the fucking...
You know, also,
synths and
it's like,
stuff. Go on,
it's like you're
Alexei.
saying about, you say, oh, I don't love it. It's better crafted than, like, Rock and Roll Hell or Saint and Sinner. 100%. And that's an
Yeah,
album
agree
that they
on that,
really,
yeah.
really like. I'm like,
This one, Alexei, though, I will push a bit, and I'll say there's stuff on their early albums I prefer to this. Like, that I would listen to any day.
I'd rather listen to, like, you know, 100,000 Years, Love Gun than this, definitely. This is like,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too much of my own opinion away, but I think this is definitely one of the weaker songs on the album. I'd even think when I was
I
younger,
agree.
I thought this was one of the weaker ones. I just thought it was kind of dumb.
I think it's definitely Paul's weakest on the album.
Well,
it's one of the weaker tracks overall.
Again, though, this is the power of nostalgia, though. I still think it bangs.
Really?
But but this is the thing, Alex. I think that's just the power of nostalgia.
Separate.
When I put this on, all it does is make me like happy, and it makes me like remember times and stuff like that. It just makes me happy. There's no negative. Conditioned effect that comes. I mean, it's a positive conditioned
fair,
effect.
that's
Really,
fair.
when I put this on, because I'm just like, oh, it's this song. This song's great. It's just, I say, it's funny. It reminds me of loads of different times in my life. Like, if I were to like put it down at a scope, I'd be like, yeah, the lyrics are dumb, and yeah, again, the synth brass is stupid.
It's funny.
It's funny, yeah, but I can't have a negative. But that's not an honest response. It just isn't. So if I were to put it down through a microscope and go, "Oh, this bit doesn't work, this bit doesn't work," but in conclusion, I still think I still think it bangs, and I love it. That just doesn't
that's
square
fair.
up. That just
think
does
that's
not
fair.
square up. But I can say, yeah, put it under a microscope. It's so stupid. It is dumb, I suppose, but that's not the. That's not.
That's
the-
fine.
Yeah, you get what I'm
It's
saying.
nice for us to bring more subjectivity to this than
Yeah,
usual, if
yeah.
that makes sense. Is that we have
Yeah.
actual history with some of the music on this album. This track is part of the longest run of tracks on this album that I must have heard them at yours before, but I don't remember anyway.
Yeah.
So I have none of that for this song, and it's just not my thing. This is not my sort of song. It's very over the top, ridiculous 80s stuff that I would never otherwise listen to. So, Alex, what do you think about it?
Well, with the run of the first 2 tracks, and in the start of this one, like you were saying, Danny, I thought, oh, we're going to get another classic here, because I love the way it starts, and Paul sounds ridiculous on it.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly. And I just thought his energy is so high, nothing bad can come from this. And then we even get this country-influenced bridge, which is so out of pocket for them. And I really enjoyed it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is so different from then. But boy, this chorus does not work whatsoever. You're saying this is 80s writing. To me, this sounds like the way they used to write songs, like on their earlier albums. Just this sort of like mishmash of verse and chorus together. And not really any care for how they intertwine. It's just so silly. Like, the backing singers are just so cheery. Bang, bang, you.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work for me, guys. It really doesn't. but I do laugh
No,
when I hear
I'm generally
it.
with you, Alex. This is not my thing. This is not my thing.
Just how silly Paul is.
I can't really blame
It's
you
very silly.
for not
You
liking
won't, not
it.
this one. You won't die on this hill, surely. You'll pick another one.
Yeah, not this one. Not this one. That is true. That is true. But I can't say anything else other than it came on, and I went, well, this is a classic. I think this is just the power of nostalgia. I genuinely do.
It is.
And I'm like,
yeah.
does this just... And I was like, does this just sound like something that's off Animalize or Asylum? And I was like, no, surely not. This is way better. But maybe it's not.
Personally, other than the synth,
maybe this is like the cover of this album. What is happening to me? The glass smashing and Kiss just becoming these little tiny versions of themselves. I mean, I think this is a classic. I don't know. I think this is great. Like, burn you! It just came on, and I was like, well, this is great. No, I think this is fantastic. I love this song. Let's move on to the next track. I won't die on this hill, I guess. I get it, though. I get it. I get why you don't like it. I humbly disagree. No. Gene. Alex, why don't you start this one?
Sure. We had 3 songs and no Gene yet. So, which I usually it's
a good batting average. Good batting average.
Yeah, it's a good average, and we usually have a Gene song at this point. So, and especially when I saw this title, I thought, okay, here we go. That's it. That's a Gene as title. And other than the fact that you can hear it's him singing, this does not sound like and on the lyrics being rapey as fuck as usual.
Yeah, the lyrics, but you've just got to tune out to the lyrics, I think, most of the time.
Yes, but other than that, this really doesn't sound like a Gene song whatsoever.
I don't think he wrote it. I do not think that he wrote it.
I love it.
I had suspicions, but then what you were saying earlier, Alexei, I think
he couldn't have. He couldn't have. Bruce has got a co-write on this. I think he had something to do with it. I think he judged it up a bit.
I'm seeing that Eric does
no
as well.
Way Gene wrote that fucking riff.
There's no way.
Gene
there's no
came out with that.
Yeah, there's no fucking way.
So and even his singing, I think is okay in this track. I think it works perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's better.
I think his vocals. Sorry, I'm really sorry to interject. Sorry, it's this album, man. I wanted to say you on about his singing. I think his singing on this album is the best it's ever been. Because he sounds a lot more natural and a lot more understated. He's not trying to put on a fucking stupid voice or anything like that. He's just trying to sing in key. And maybe it lacks a bit of a personality, but I think it just sounds, in general, cooler than... Do you know what I mean? Sorry, carry on.
I think especially on this track, I agree with that. Like, he sounds cooler, and he's really just kind of sitting back and just letting, like... all the drums and guitar just do everything for him, which I think is awesome because the solos in this one are insane, and the intro is cool as hell, though probably a bit outdated now. We're in '87. I don't know, maybe it wasn't, but I feel as though like we've heard a lot of these by this point. I just wish that Gene didn't have to write lyrics like this, man. I just really wish that I could just say to him, "Good job, Gene. You're on a good track." But when it's basically like him trying to convince a girl who doesn't want to have sex. And I also saw that this track was originally called "Assume the Position," which is a very Gene line, and down on all fours. Those are 2 other names for it. Which,
Jesus Christ.
Even when I wanted to go, "Good job, Gene, you're on a wibbly wibbly song," and it's kind of like rocking, I still can't just be into it. But I think this song is good and probably the best of Gene we get on this album. Alexei, do you agree with that?
I think this is I think it's got a fucking sick intro. Bruce has just got big fucking balls, and so does Eric. I love this intro so much. When I was younger, I fucking loved this intro so much. I thought it was like the best guitar playing I'd ever heard in my life, like the best you could possibly imagine. This and the soundtrack to Dynasty Warriors, I thought were.
Fucking agreed.
Was like
Fucking agree. Hard agree.
We're like the best guitar player you can imagine. In fact, even now, actually, whenever I think of like a really showy guitarist, like something that you do to impress someone, I think of this guitar solo. It's just so like classic. I'm like, you know what I mean? Like it's so flashy, it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm just gonna say this now. This is Gene's best album, I think, by a country mile. I love his vocals on this album. Like I said, it does not sound obnoxious. He's playing it cool. He's a lot more natural, a lot understated. And again, this is a Gene song, and the verse works. This is a Gene song, and the bridge works. This is a Gene song, and the chorus works. It all fits together. Like, you know, obviously he probably didn't write it. I'm almost certain he did not write it. But you know, if this is the outcome, then don't let him write shit. You know, I've been saying that for ages. This is actually Paul's least favorite Kiss song, by the way. Found that out recently. His least favorite, which is mad to me.
There's
way
others,
worse.
Paul.
Really?
Way worse.
Yeah.
There must be an anecdote
like
behind
this,
that, right?
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that the only thing that Gene contributed to this, other than obviously the lyrics, which I agree with Alex, like, are pretty unforgivable. I'm pretty sure the only directive he gave as a songwriter was, just do something like Hot for Teacher by Van Halen. Do something like Hot for Teacher.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard this more times than Hot for Teacher. I've listened to this more times. I know this song better than Hot for Teacher. Like, I think it bangs. I think it goes hard. I think it's probably Gene's best song up until this point. Maybe not. Maybe I think Naked City might be a bit better. But I do think it's really, really good. I love it. This is fantastic. Again, it just came on. I was like, well, this is a banger. It bangs. There's loads of energy. You know, it's not all about hooks in this one, but it's still better than like other songs that have a lot of energy on their other albums, like Under the Gun and I'm Alive and all that shit. I think this is fantastic. I love this song, and it made me very happy to listen to it. But I will agree with Alex. The lyrics really are dreadful. I can't get past that. Now, when you look at that under a microscope, they are indefensible, but it still bangs. I'm sorry, Danny. What do you think?
Okay, well, yeah, I love the little eruption moment that he has at the start. Bruce could really play, and I don't have the nostalgia you have for the song Alexei, but that is some impressive guitar playing, and I like that sort of wankery when it comes to shredding. I just like that. And then when it comes in, I was like, holy shit, this tapping riff thing that he's doing. How do people like Rock and Roll All Night more than this? I don't know about that. That is just so much of a better time to me. But I did later write and keep coming back to, what a waste. They do nothing. He just does it at the start, and they don't come back to it once. It's the best part of the song by a country mile. I just think, I mean, what can I say? This is the first time in a while I wasn't expecting Gene. You know, where like it wasn't just this instant plod or boringness because of all the guitar work and the drumming too. Gene has watered down his voice and he's sort of normalized it. I think you were getting at that, Alexei.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying.
It's better, but it is utterly unremarkable now.
Yeah.
So that is better than it, because it was like, it was offensive before, essentially, how bad his singing was.
Really was bad.
I think, for me, this isn't this. But the past few albums, Alexei, we have been disagreeing a bit, where I think me and maybe to a lesser extent Alex have been giving Gene a little bit more in terms of, oh, well, he's some progress here and there. This, you know, his singing's a bit better here. His, you know, the half decent bridge or whatever. Like, to me, this doesn't touch War Machine as a song.
Oh, yeah.
I think
War Machine.
As a riff, it's better. Again, I'll come back and just praise Bruce non-stop for that opening. But I just think it's a waste. It's wasted on this song. This song, I every time I listened to it, I thought, have we got to the chorus yet? Because it doesn't seem to even have one that I can hear, which is fine. The song doesn't need one. but there was nothing else for me to grab onto in this song other than the guitar work, which did come back throughout, and it was on fire throughout. The solo itself, when it comes in, is great. It's just all the bits in between Bruce shredding I have nothing to say about. And I wondered, Alexei, you mentioned there's a sort of obligatory speed metal song that we've been getting for the past few albums. I think that's this one, right?
Yeah, basically.
On this album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the best one.
So I'm afraid... I agree with that probably, because it's usually a pretty bad song, the speed metal.
They're usually
because of the
rubbish,
guitar work, I think that lifts this song a lot, but not nearly enough. And I don't think it's this sudden like, oh wow, Gene's really made a lot of progress here. That's what I have only ever felt that in that way with War Machine, where I was like, that's a good song, Gene. Here it's just that same old. Well, there's a really good guitarist accompanying him, and I will say he has sort of, like I say, normalized his voice a bit here for the better, even though it's boring. It's for the better. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Move on. Good Girl Gone Bad. This is another huge...
Wait,
Is it?
is that the next track?
Yeah, I think so.
No, it's Hello High Water.
Oh, no, I
Was
just
it
put it
listing on
twice. I got...
Spotify?
Sorry. No. Sorry, I fucked up. My bad. I've got Hella High Water. I just put it down as
That's alright.
Good Girl Gone Bad. I've got Good Girl Gone Bad twice, but this is Hella High Water.
Okay.
Yeah, I know this one.
Hello, High Water. Let's
Maybe
go.
I don't know this album so well. This is another huge track. I think Gene genuinely sounds great. It's more natural, more melodic. There's some really nice harmonies in this one. It's got a great hook in the chorus, which I think Paul's backing vocals help with a lot. But for Gene, like, I'm amazed just how tuneful this is, and like there are melodies like all over it. Like, like he couldn't write melodies to like stop a baby being crushed to death, like, and yet there's like a lot of like the harmonies and melodies like going through this. There's a lot. Like, I will admit the middle eight, could have gone. Like, the middle eight could have gone. But that's, it kind of goes into that kind of 50s. I wanna love you, hold you. It gets into that 50s, janky shit again. But that's probably the only bit he actually wrote. That sounded like Gene. I'll give him that. That did sound like Gene. And again, just another like bitchin' solo. It gets pretty jammy at the end. I think that Eric's cool. He enunciates at certain moments. Like, there's the bit in the riff where it kind of does this ascending or descending thing. I'm not quite sure. And he sort of, enunciates that on the ride, which is really, really cool. It really pulls the track forward. I mean, in the verse, I would almost go as far as to say that Gene almost sounds, like, maybe not cool, that's probably the wrong word, but he's got a lot more swagger and he's a lot more understated, which is a good vibe for him. Again, I love this song. I think it bangs. The back and forth with Paul at the end, I think, is really cool. The hello, hello, when they're just kind of going back and forth on the chorus, I think is really, really sick. I love it. Fuck. Right, Alex, what are you saying? Don't do this to me. Don't be like, oh, well, the guitars sound fucking, it's fucking overcompressed.
The EQ,
Just say you love it and it bangs, and we can move on.
This one, I didn't write very much because it is very... It's very competent. It's very fine. Like, this one I found very difficult to talk about, other than I think this is a really good chorus.
I think you just said a really good. You used a really good descriptive there. I think, actually, for the I think that sums up the album. It's confident. This is a confident
as a competent.
album.
As a competent.
Competent. I agree with competent. It's more competent than his previous stuff.
I know. I
say
just
competent or
Competent, yeah.
confident. Oh, I think it's both. Anyway, sorry. Carry on, Alex.
No, this was difficult to write about because I think compared to all the tracks we've heard up until this point, like, it is more straightforward. There's less parts to it, but this does work because, like you're saying, Alexei, the chorus really works, and I mean, like we said with the last track, you can argue whether if it's Gene sort of like toning himself down a little bit more. I think it's him going back to that sort of singing style. I can't remember which album it was or which like series of albums it was where he was trying out a few different like vocal styles.
Yeah.
It was a while ago. But he's kind of going back to that, which I think is okay. Like I don't like, it's not like offensive like we were saying before. I think it's okay, but this chorus, as simple as it is, it really works and it's easy to build upon. And like saying Alexei, like towards the end, with the ride and them going back and forth, I think it's a really cool finish. I don't have much more to say about this. Like, I think this is a good attempt, and I think it's funny because when I was researching this, apparently Bruce wrote pretty much all of this, is what I discovered.
I mean, yeah, that goes to show.
Yeah,
doesn't
so
it?
good job.
All the
Bruce.
bits work. Gene definitely wrote the middle eight.
So how about we give it a little bit of Jerry Lewis?
Oh, fucking fine.
Funny.
Tony, what do you think? Come on, just say it bangs, man, and move the fuck on.
It doesn't bang. It does not bang.
It does bang.
That's unfair to the other tracks on this album to say it bangs, Alexei. Come on. It doesn't bang.
I'm sorry, it bangs.
I think the main thing I wrote about this, is that it's not blowing my mind, but at least feels like he got the fucking memo for once. Like for once, Gene doesn't sound like he's just coming at it from a completely different, boring direction. Other than, like you said, the middle eight. I thought Eric was killing it on this one. I disagree with you two. I think although it's one of his better choruses we've ever had, and it checks out that he didn't write it, I still think it's just not. I don't think it's a great chorus. It's again for Gene pretty good, and he didn't write it, so there you go. You can tell that it's better than what he's done in the past because, actually, I'm just seeing all my notes are based on the assumption that he wrote it. So forgive me if I'm wording this wrong.
It's alright. Let's assume he did, or at least like you can say something that he's sang on or performed.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
So often with a Gene song, there'll be an amazing guitar solo that's let down by the rhythm section because it's just a boring song. This doesn't have that. I felt that the rhythm section was complementing the solo, and that's big praise, I think, for a Gene song. I agree that the outro is great, especially the guitar solo in the outro when it comes back sounded really good. I thought the bridge was alright too. I think I preferred the bridge to the chorus. It sounds like I like it the least, but like I say, he got the memo. This sounds like it fits on the album. That's why I think competent is actually the correct word here. It's not.
Like this sounds
it's
legit.
not great.
Yeah.
It just sounds like this sounds like
legit.
a deep cut on this album, which is what it is. Unlike everything he's given us in the past, or most of what he's given us in the past. This sounds like just a less memorable track on this album. That's what I have to say about Hell or High Water.
Okie dokie. My way. I have a little interesting thing to tell you guys. Have you been on the Wikipedia page for this album?
Briefly.
Yeah, a bit.
You have?
Yeah,
okay. Now, there's actually a breakdown of like a lot of songs on it. There's like, you can go on the songs and there's a little like a little kind of brief description, a little bit of history and stuff like that. Do you want to know? And most of them have like a paragraph. Do you know what it says for My Way?
I just read it.
Have you read it? It's completely
say?
uncitated. It's no citations on it. It's just one sentence. It's about 6 words and it just goes, "A vocal range treat by Paul." You wrote that. Anyway, so well, the question is it a vocal range treat by Paul? Danny, what do you think? I think you probably find this song very funny. That's my assumption. I think you find this song really funny.
I put the first note is, my God, listen to this, because it comes in. You're like, whoa.
In the danger
They sound. unlike anything they've ever made. And yeah, I will say it's so right to me. This is Kiss to me.
Feels good.
I think I could not get over these synths in a good way and a bad way. It's just so funny how synth-filled this song is. I can't say it doesn't suit them. It is over the top and ridiculous at the same time. That's what suits them. I put the first listen. I think the chorus will grow on me, and by the last chorus, I put something off. Maybe in a brilliant way, still needs more time. And it still needs more time. I'm still on the fence about this chorus. I do not know. There is something off about this chorus. There's something weird about the chords. And his voice is so fucking high.
Yeah.
And it is weird to hear him be so consistently clean vocally now. I found myself imagining Peter, but then I thought, well, it's too high for him, isn't it?
Peter?
So... can you imagine him belting this, Alexei? Just...
That'd be hilarious, yeah.
It would. It's got that classic minor shift to the guitar solo, which so many 80s songs do. It's like it wasn't masculine enough to do a major key guitar solo. It's not quite hit-worthy to my ears, but it sort of almost is. It's almost... Like I said, there's something off about the chorus that could be the best thing about it, and I don't know. Help me out, guys. What do you, Alexei? What do you think?
Oh
about this one?
yeah, I can help you out. Yeah, it bangs.
Yeah,
it bangs
help me
really
out.
hard. It goes absolutely hard.
Oh, I see. Okay, well there we go.
I mean, that's what you're missing. Yeah, I agree. It's very fucking 80s. It's incredibly 80s.
Yes.
It might be the most 80s thing I've ever heard in my life. But you know, this album is like a brother to me. It's like a brother to me. It's like a friend. It's like one of you. It's like one of you guys. It's like of our friendship group. This is the other member. This album. It's like, you know, if you pick a fight with it, we've got problems. You know what I mean? I'd lie down in front of a tank for this album. I'd take a bullet. I'd jump in front of a gun. For my vinyl copy for it. I think this is bangs. I think it just bangs. It's like, you know, it's obviously meant to be kind of Bon Jovi, but I just think it's better than Bon Jovi. I think it rides. I think Paul sounds great. The hook is uplifting. It's very effective. It's a good feel-good, self-empowering anthem about self-determination, and I love it. It's fun, and you know, that's just a huge compliment I have for this album in general. It's just tons of fun. I think it's just really, really fun, and you know, and that's all I have to say about it. It's fun, it's competent, and it's great, and I love it. And I know you put it under the fucking microscope, and it's like, this is dumb. It sounds like it should be in a sitcom from the 80s. I get it, right? Or a soap opera like General Hospital or something like that. I get it, I understand, but I can't do it. All right, Alex.
Alexei, you make me feel bad now, man.
Stop. What's wrong with it? There's nothing fucking wrong with it.
There's nothing that wrong with it. Like, there's nothing that wrong with it, but like, I can't give it that same love that you're giving.
He hits notes. He hits notes in this song that you cannot.
Well, yeah, I think Danny said it there as well. Like, I was amazed. I was just like, he's just so high, and it always sounds as though he's just
so
reaching
high.
it. That he's just pulling it there, and then at some point he'll go even higher, and you're like, well, how are you doing that? It really is amazing. I when like researching this album and like just seeing stuff around it, I kept on seeing people like have a go at it for the synths and all that. And on the tracks previously, I was like, yeah, there's a couple of synths, but there's, you know, it's not that much. But then this track,
you know what?
Jesus Christ.
That makes me like it more. That makes me like it more. You know, God of Thunder, right? Kiss fans, you know God of Thunder. This is better than God of Thunder. My Way shits all over God of Thunder, and it shits all over I Stole Your Love, and it shits all over Rock and Roll All Night. It's better.
They're gonna come for you, man.
I don't fucking care. They all see fucking the fucking cowboy hats and the fucking beer bellies. They can come, and I will fight them. Anyway.
Why are you imagining cowboy hats for Kiss fans?
They're just the guys who see it like downloading stuff in it with like, you know, leather waistcoats and Motorhead shirts. The cowboy hats. carrying a deck chair around and a fisherman's chair because they're too fat to stand and watch fucking Def Leppard for an hour and a half.
Roasting Kiss fans now.
While you're there in the corner, like bouncing all night to My Way, just like as fit as a fiddle, sort of thing.
Oh, My Way. That's exactly why, because I listened to this. I didn't listen to the plod and get no exercise because I was waddling around to Firehouse. I was jumping around to My Way in my bedroom air guitaring. Compare this to Firehouse.
Firehouse would be terrible. That would be a terrible workout song. He's right on that, Alex.
Jesus. Sorry.
No. For me, like I do love Paul doing this kind of song. I do love it because Danny's right. It does fit so well. I just think, especially with like the sound that they're going for here, you know, they're going the full 80s route. Then you have to start comparing it to other big 80s ballads and, you know, that sort of power ballad stuff or whatever you want to call it, like of that time.
Jump. This is meant to be Jump, isn't it? This is meant to be Jump by Van Halen.
Yeah, it's not. This is a bit more dramatic than Jump. Jump is a bit more like. I'm not quite sure about that, but I don't know. Just like other sort of big ballads of the 80s, maybe I'm not. Phil Collins keeps coming to mind, but I'm not quite sure about that. But I suppose Bon Jovi is the obvious one, and to me it isn't quite good enough to be like an 80s ballad classic sort of thing. The chorus does wear thin towards the end. I had a similar feeling, Danny, where I'm like, well, I'm not so sure. I'm not sure. And on re-listens, it's like, okay, yeah, we're doing this again, sort of thing. As impressive as it is, it isn't like a classic hook. But keep going, Paul.
I
think it could have been a single.
I think this is going to become a thing, and I'm going to end up liking it because we're going to be singing it to each other so much, and that's going to grow on me, and I'm going to get nostalgia for it because.
Maybe.
Right, guys. When Your Walls Come Down. This is another Paul track. Alex, why don't you start us off on this one?
Okay, well, Danny was talking about the confidence to write a song like Crazy Crazy Nights. Well, it doesn't compare to whatever Paul was on for this track. I have no idea what he's going for, what sort of tone. This is really fucking stupid, this track. This is so stupid.
I think this is one of the best on the album.
Have you read the lyrics to this one? Like,
yes, I've read the lyrics. Liar, liar, with your pants on fire. I know you want it. Yeah, I know you want it too. Yeah,
it's so stupid.
Fit is a fiddle, and you go and burn your bed of the moon, and they say you got to look before you. Yeah, it's all just sayings, isn't it? It's just like
it's all just lots of sayings mishmashed together.
Stickers and stuff.
But he's trying to make it.
You gotta look before you leave. And
yeah, he's trying to make it like, I don't know. I'm not really sure what this is trying to achieve. It's a bit of a mess for me overall. Like, not just the lyrics, but also like the jam and the riffs and
working 9 to 5.
Sorry. Yeah, I agree. Wait, what did he say? Say it again.
All I've got to say is that again, when researching this, there was one line written about this track somewhere, which was the song would get a rare live appearance on Crazy Nights tour, but did not work out well. And that's all I got to say. Danny.
Right. Well, it starts, and I wrote, oh, well, yeah, let's go, goddamn Bruce, which I am saying a lot this album.
Yeah, he's a bitch solo at the start.
These past, like all of their 80s output, I've gone on a lot about how good the guitar work is. But this one, I've really got to emphasize. Bruce I do think he's leveled it up to a new point with the guitar work. He's killing it throughout this album. It's a terrible opening lyric, which then goes on to, well, Alex has covered the lyrics, actually, I think, yeah. And I decided to overlook that, like you always have to with this band. I like the verse. I thought the bridge was even better. I had my fingers crossed for the chorus, and then
Oh,
I
no,
started
don't do
laughing
it.
because I fucking remembered it. I have a vague memory, Alexei. It is locked away in my head, and maybe I don't know if you remember this. It was some party at your house or something, and we were singing it incessantly. We were annoying everyone. That's all I remember. Like, it's not even an anecdote. I've just got this vague memory of annoying everyone, singing "When You Was Come Down."
When you will.
But I really
Kitty,
can't remember.
yeah,
Like,
kitty, kitty.
it kept coming back to it. I was having fun listening to it recently. But it's funny how underwhelming the chorus is. They build up to it so much with that, and then it's like, da, 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 when your walls come down. It's another very funny one. I wish I could remember this memory. It's just it's something like that. We were drunk and we wouldn't stop singing it, and people were getting annoyed, which is such a annoying anecdote for people who weren't there, and the people who were there who weren't.
I
us.
think I remember.
Okay, Alexei, I'll pass it on to you. That's all I have to say about this one. It just made me laugh.
It's just great. This is great. This is energetic foot tapper. It's fantastic. It's got a great chorus. That is very funny. I just again. I can't dissect something that just makes you feel really good inside. Like, it makes me happy when I listen to it. But I will say this: the bit at the end where he goes, "Yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty," in the outro is absolutely hilarious. No, this is great. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. Should have been a single. Could have been a single. It's great. It's fantastic. Moving on. Guys, this is a big one.
Big one. I agree on that. It's a big one.
Big one. Reason to Live. I think this is like the first proper power ballad from Kiss, right? Power ballad. I mean, like, big power ballad.
Yes, in the
like
in what people think of when they hear that word.
Because I Still Love You's not like anthemic, is it? It's more of a downer. I think this is right up there with the best power ballads of the 1980s. I think it's fucking indestructible. The song is indestructible. The chorus is huge and anthemic. I think it's done with so much power and finesse that it genuinely does stir something in me. Please don't laugh at that. Objectively, I want to say it's cheesy, but fuck, I just can't do it. I think it's a beautiful song. And I remember I have an argument of being younger, and I had a huge argument with my dad, and it was a really, really bad one. I think I was about 12. It was a really, really bad one. And I remember just going to the toilet. And I had this on my headphones, and I was blasting it, and I was just bawling my eyes out. I was only about 11, and I found it genuinely comforting.
Alexei.
So if either of you say a fucking word against this song, I will fly over to fucking Asia. And I'll fucking stab both of you, right? It's like an old friend, this song. And also, as 80s power ballads go, I think it's 100% a master. I think 100% it's a masterfully crafted track of that genre, and it's one of the best from the bands. It's one of the best of 80s power ballads in general, like Eternal Eclipse of the Heart, shit like that. Better. This is better. It's just a great pop song, and more importantly, beyond that, it has a very, very special place in my heart, this song. Okay? Alright?
Can I go next, Alexei?
Yes, you can go next.
Mine follows on from yours, because I have a memory associated with this song too. And it was... this is less early, like, when I was first friends with you. This is when you had that apartment, and you were playing this vinyl a lot. Probably the same era as when I remember the last song. And I remember we were laughing at this song, but enjoying it too, because it's a fun ballad. And I said to you, what would you do? How would you feel if I sat you down at a piano and I sang this to you? I said, hey, I wrote a song, I wrote this, and I'd written it, and I had tears running down my eyes. And I remember your answer was, man, I'd be like, Daddy, what happened? Daddy, what happened?
I agree.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
There's a lot of like the nostalgia I feel for this one's a bit different because it's not as old as Crazy Crazy Nights for me. I've just got to know it over the years. The chorus is very funny, but it is sort of very good. And by the most recent listen, I was just saying I love this one too. It's a proper pop over the top chorus. It's got great harmonies. He is throwing himself at it vocally. I just think it's not even a criticism actually. I just think it's funny that the line, well, it can't be your love, we mentioned sort of Paul's weird cynical streak lyrically a few albums ago. It's come back there, like, damn, Paul. But no, I love this one. I wish I had some stories like you had, Alexei, proper emotional ones, but I don't. It's just a song that I've learned through you, and it is very well written. And it's very fun. It's a fun song.
Just because your dad fucking loved you.
Make me laugh.
Okay.
Alex, take over. Alex.
Good, nice words you said about that, Danny. I agreed with a lot of your sentiments there. Alex, come on.
Well, I was saying earlier about My Way, and I'm thinking once you get into that sort of territory, you don't have to start comparing it to the other like big songs at that time, like you were, Alexei. And I think you're right that this one holds up massively. I think this one is shockingly great.
It is.
Like,
it's brilliant.
On the first listen, I was like, Jesus Christ, Paul! Like for him to go this direction, and like how far the band has come, for lots of different reasons. But on repeat listens, like the chorus would get to me. There's something about the sort of timbre of his voice, and the way the song is constructed, like it does hit home. It does hit home. And
it's a
you're
lovely.
right, Danny,
It's a very simple,
Paulism.
naive.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I was saying what I said about that Paulism, which is I kind of love it that he is like that because it makes songs like this actually really interesting. I again, when they stick to the sort of cliches like this, and they just let sort of their I don't know, the drama take over, from which Paul is so good at doing, and we have seen that Bruce and Eric really are good at supporting that. It just works. It really just works. Are we by the way, are we going to talk about the videos at all? 'Cause I just realised I wrote some stuff about the videos.
I actually have to go meet people, so I cannot spend time on the videos.
Okay, that's fine.
They're wonderful. Paul looks very nice in his little white waistcoat.
Yeah, I know. I just think it's funny that this one, I just saw a quote from Paul somewhere, apparently talking about the video, and he just said, "The video is about me and a gorgeous woman," and apparently that's all he said about the video. I think.
Great, Paul.
Yeah, nice, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Nice.
No,
one,
great
buddy.
Great track.
Fantastic. Followed by another great track, which is Good Girl Gone Bad by Gene.
Come down, Lex.
No, this is a great song. This is a great song. Do you not like this? I think this is one of his strong. No, I think this is one of his stronger ones. It ain't love,
This is the worst track of the album,
ain't
isn't
so bad. No, it's not. Are you mad? I think this is one of the best ones. There's, again, the verse works incredibly well. The chorus is decent. There's a middle eight, which you can get rid of. The Take Me Away, but I still think it's solid. This is probably, I guess, maybe one of the more dull cuts. But there's a really cool swagger to it. The turnaround at the main riff to the solo and the verse is really, really nice. It gives it a much of sort of a darker edge, it's really, really, really cool. Again, I think Gene sounds great. It's he's not sort of warbling like a dick like he normally does, like he has on other track, and it works very, very well for him. I think this is a great song. I think it's one of the heaviest songs. It's got a great chug to it. It just bangs. Dun dun dun. It's sinister. It lurches. It's great.
Not sinister.
Moving on. Turn on the Night. Paul.
No. Fucking Good Girl Gone
No.
Mad. It starts alright, Alexei. It starts off with the sort of
Yeah,
shit
the solo's sick.
that we were
yeah.
encouraging around the sort of Dynasty Unmasked era. Maybe a bit like a Naked City sort of. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but it's sort of, like you said, darker sound to it.
Yeah.
But it dips in the verse straight away. Not ruined, but by the time the chorus comes in, it's dumb. The lyrics are shit. I found very little to say about it.
Don't
other
do
than
this. Come
like
on.
the lead guitar continues to slay, and Eric is doing his job and he's doing it very well. But apart from that, I've got very little from this song.
Maybe maybe this is the power of nostalgia. I cannot believe you think this is like a bad song. I'm like, this is good.
It's not a good song, anyway. It's not a good song. They've done worse, if you want me to say that. They've got a collection of worse songs, but... well, Alex, what do you think? I've said just about everything. I said very little about this.
Alexei, it's very boring. It's a very boring song.
No, it's chugs, it's swaggers, it's got, it's grooves. It's not boring, it grooves.
I just
It's atmospheric. Atmospheric.
He's singing in the chorus. Oh my god.
Gone Mad.
It would have been funny if Paul had sang it.
She's a good girl. Gone Mad.
What
The one part where he goes to make it work, like that part, yeah, like that part, I think is pretty sweet. But everything else, I mean,
okay, fine.
on other
let's
albums,
move on.
Alexei, you would have had a go at this one. Just
No, I wouldn't.
plodding
That is
along.
true.
This is
You
way
would.
better. What does this song
No.
remind you of? Name another song. Name another song you would compare this to off another record.
I don't remember them because they're all so boring, and this is just another boring
that's a
Gene song.
cheap. That's a cheap answer.
Well,
It's got
Alright, I'll
way
get
more
the
of a
fucking
hook on
list
it.
up there.
Get the track listing up.
Hang on, let's go back to Asylum. Let's see if I remember any of these fucking songs from a couple of weeks ago. I do not remember any of these fucking...
This will stick in your head. Wait,
What's
way more of a
Secretly
hook.
Cruel? What did Secretly Cruel go like?
Secretly
What did it go like?
cruel.
But I'm nobody's fool. It's not. You can hold.
Yeah, it's like that. It is like that song.
Not hold a testicle to this song. This is way better. Way better. It's got more of a hook. It's more driving. The singing's better. The solos are better. It's got more of a vibe. It's darker. It's more atmospheric. That is absolutely a bollocks. Also, it was probably written by 8 people. So none of which were probably Gene. So that automatically makes it better. Anyway,
I was thinking more like While the City Sleeps sort of thing. Just that sort of very mid-range.
No, that's in a higher tempo anyway. As the city sleeps, that's a faster song.
Well,
All right,
regardless,
we'll
Alexei,
move on.
that's
we'll
how I felt.
agree on the
because-
next song. We'll agree on the next song.
Let me finish my
We
point.
will.
Because that's just how I felt. Because I just wrote, why does Gene keep writing songs like this? Because this really is very...
This is different. It doesn't. This is better. This has got a melody in it. This has got a melody. None of his songs had melodies before, and he was like, I might have to do right. Well, this has got a melody. It's got hook. His harmonies in it. His harmonies are all over it. And
He's
nice
been doing
harmonies
harmonies for a few albums. And
Yeah, but they're not
His
good.
solo
Yeah,
album was
but
littered with harmonies.
yeah, but you can't harmonize with It sounds rubbish. Right. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
Alex,
Turn on
did you
the
finish your
night.
point?
Yeah, I finished my point.
Yeah,
Just-
Okay.
It's fucking good.
We'll be friends again on this next song,
Do
because
it,
this
yeah.
one...
This is the best Kiss song that has ever been written. It
Yes.
will not be beaten.
Yes, I'm so
It
glad
will
you're saying
not
that
be.
too.
It will not
Yeah,
be
I
usurped.
don't think
It
so.
destroys all tracks around it. This is as good as anything Bon Jovi put
Yeah.
out, Def Leppard, Pat Benatar, all of Alice's 80s output. This is just up there. It amazes me this was not a bigger hit. It fucking blows my mind. It's urgent. It's got something that the best like club pop songs have, and it's that feeling of like, I wish this moment of euphoria could last forever. I hope the night lasts forever, and it's captured very, very well. This captures it better, that feeling, than Set You Free by Entrance. That is how good I think that is at doing that. Again, it just feels wrong to dissect something that just brings such a great sense of joy and nostalgia. But all I can say is that this is everything that they're trying to achieve with this album, and it's best demonstrated in this track. Everything that they were trying to capture and do. This is why the label stood up and applauded. Like, they didn't just replicate that sound. They wrote the best song, and in my opinion, album of the hair metal kind of pop metal genre. In my opinion, the hook is just ridiculous, and the solos are really melodic and frantic and powerful and ripping. I love this song so much. It's so fucking good. All right, Danny.
Yeah, I literally wrote, what can I say about this song? I think we should be clear, I think in a subtle way, KissKast exists because of this song.
Basically,
If there was ever a soundtrack to our friendship, it would be this song. I think one of my earliest memories of you, Alexei, is an in-joke I will definitely not bother explaining to do with this
no one
song.
will find it funny.
No one will find it funny, but we did, Alexei.
We did, yeah.
And it just makes me think of you two more than anyone else. And I was just feeling happy and a little emotional while listening to it. It's ridiculous. Again, similar thing to Crazy Nights, where that is. I can step back and see the humor in that. But these are Gene's best vocals, hands down.
Gene?
The backing, the can't wait any longer. I'm assuming that's Gene. Is it not Gene?
Oh, that's Paul. Definitely Paul.
Oh, I just thought that was okay. Well then, okay, forget Gene. Anyway, it's got some of the best backing vocals ever, and it's my joint favorite Kiss song. It would be very difficult to choose one between this and Crazy Nights. This one might have the edge, but it's very hard for me to talk about on a podcast. It's an in joke, but an in joke that's become more than that, and it means a lot to me. I think everything you said more analytically is correct, Alexei, about it sort of being well crafted and about a moment. Of course, it's got incredible guitar solo and stuff. But
it's about it's just sort of about it's that feeling of like I don't know, you're sort of young, you know what I mean, and these sort of like the nights of your lives, and you're young and you're with someone that you think is really beautiful and stuff like that, and and you're just feeling those emotions for like the first time and stuff and stuff like that, and you just don't want it to sort of end. Do you know what I mean? And I think it captures that incredibly well.
I agree. Alex, what do you think?
Man, everything you guys have said, man. And actually, like this one, I personally prefer it to Crazy Nights, and it's for something I just can't explain. But Crazy Nights, it's sort of, it's kind of stuck in a time, like you guys saying, with sort of nostalgia. But this one, for some reason, it grows. Like when I hear this, I just think, wow, this really is an amazing like song, and it, like I'm always kind of shocked how good it is, beyond just the sort of nostalgia I feel from it. Because I feel the exact same way. Like I think of you guys, I think of other people in our friendship group who also love this song as well, and singing it with them.
It Crush loves this song.
Yeah.
Crush loves this song. He used to play it all the time.
No, exactly. The level of euphoria from this song is unbelievable. It's just so. Oh, I really don't know how to put it, but
it's just full of, it's joyful. It's just incredibly joyful, and
it's incredibly joyful. And it just, this one, it just sticks with me so much. I mean, after hearing this, I just kept on saying to myself, ooh, whoa! Like I just I couldn't just stop doing it over and over again, because I think Paul just sounds amazing on this track. Like he really has so much energy and life on this.
Yeah.
And it goes through all the track, and everybody sounds great.
Yeah.
Yes.
The I can't wait is the best bit. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait any longer.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so good.
So if you know.
And there's that great bit when he goes, yeah, and there's that great bit where he goes, "Hey, Gene."
Is that what he says?
Yeah, he says that at one point. Oh, I love it. If this song had been on Music for the Elder, Music for the Elder would probably be in the top 5. It might even be number 1 if this song had been off Music for the Elder. Carry on.
Yeah, I just want to say that last point, just particularly that just can't wait any longer. I mean, just so clear and punchy.
Yes.
There's something about it which just
that's the bit.
hits so hard. And it just, and it gives it that feeling that we were talking about with Crazy Crazy Nights, where it's just a group of people all singing it together sort of feeling. I'm amazed that they managed to hit this twice on this album. I'm really amazed by this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've knocked on that feeling twice, yeah.
And boy, what a great final track, guys. I can't believe, it's a great way to end an album.
Okay, we're gonna have absolute beef now if this is the way this is gonna go.
You go first, Alexei. You go first.
Okay, my favorite Kiss song is obviously "Turn on the Night," which is a Paul song, so that de facto makes it my favorite. That makes it my favorite. Makes it my favorite Paul song, right?
No, not better than War Machine, man.
This is the best Gene song by a country mile. This song is heavy. It's so good. This is one of my favorite Kiss songs. I fucking love this song. I think it's Gene's heaviest song, hands down, apart from maybe War Machine. I think War Machine might be probably is heavier, but it's one of his heaviest. And anyone that was coming at this album being like, it's not heavy. And I'm like, well, I'm not being funny, but this is a lot heavier than Man with 1,000 Faces. It's a lot heavier than Ladies' Room. Are you fucking mad?
I agree with that.
This song just has enormous fucking balls. It's got, it's got an almost like Holy Diver feel to it. I think I actually prefer this to Holy Diver. I think it's better. I think it's more exciting. And again, it's got a lovely melodic build, with the dive bombs in it as well. Whoa, like that. It sounds great. It absolutely slams. There's some great backing vocals from Paul. I love Paul's backing vocals. They're really powerful, coming like a sledgehammer. He sings the verses. Gene sings the verses really, really well. He sets a very kind of dramatic scene really well. It's almost more of a Paul song in a way. It sounds like something more like Paul would, right? It's got amazing swagger to it. This track, it's the best track Gene has done so far, and I doubt that will change. I really doubt that will change. It's one of my favorite Kiss songs. It's one of my favorite choruses in their back catalogue by far. I think it just slams like a thief in the night. It's great. Again, it's way heavier than anything he put out in the 70s. It's way heavier than God of Thunder. And if you think otherwise, then you're fucking insane. If you think Firehouse is heavier than this, then you need to fucking get in the bin. Also, Bruce just sounds fucking insane. His solos on it are absolutely mad. This song is brilliant. Okay. Who's going to make the case for the prosecution?
Well, look, I think I'm a...
Okay, go on.
I think I'm a bit more mid, Alex. So can I go for... Because I do think, for G, it is pretty good. I think it's better than Firehouse, if that's the standard we're setting. I remember it vaguely, but I think that's just because it's the last track and I listened to Turn on the Night so much. I think this has just come on before. So I'm vaguely familiar with it. It's alright. Turn on the Night is far too perfect for them to pick as the final track, and this could be a much more disappointing follow. They've done worse, but it is on point as a standard Gene outro. It's just it's nothing. I wrote very little about it. I've got just about nothing to say about it. It's fine. He's done worse. Alex?
I had very similar feelings in it. That listen to it it's just fine, and it's very forgettable. I feel as though every single time, this is one I had to sort of go back being like, which one's this again? Apparently he wrote it for somebody else, but then was just kind of like the track, and so wanted to put it on the end of this album. But Alexei, whatever you think about this song, surely you acknowledge that this is terrible placement for it. Like to go from
yeah,
Turn on the
I
Night
mean,
and just that high, and then to drop to this kind of song. And I don't mean like song quality, but just like the sort of the feeling of it.
you mean like the track listing?
Yeah.
You know what? In the past, I think a good way of describing their closers, particularly on the past like 3 albums, is they sound like bonus tracks. I think a lot of the time they don't feel like clovers; they just feel like bonus tracks. They've been kind of stuck on the end. I guess Reason to Live or Turn on the Night probably would have been.
I think Turn on the Night is a perfect end.
Better.
Like the feeling that gives you off.
Probably. Yeah, but Alex, right? Okay, so we're near the end now. Ask me what I rate this album out of 10. Just go on. Just ask me. Ask me.
Alexei, what do you rate this
Ask
album
me.
out of 10?
A 9. A 9. This is a 9 out of 10. This album. It might even be a 10. Right now, if I were to switch the track listing around, it might fucking change that. So if it's not broke, it doesn't need fixing. So no, Deep of the Night is a fine closer. I'm saying if it's already a 9 or a 10, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna flip Thief in the Night and Turn on the Night around. You know why? Why bother? It's
Who knows what might
as it is. Who knows what might happen? It might fucking ruin it. So.
I'm standing by. I think this is terrible placement. I think this is really, really terrible placement. Maybe we should see it as a bonus track because if he wrote it for Wendy O. Williams, and I listened to that version as well, and this version is way better than hers. Maybe we should just see it as a bonus track. However, it being here does affect the listening of the album because you just have this amazing high. And then you just have this, for what I believe is quite a forgettable Gene song.
Okay. Let's do final thoughts, shall we?
Okay.
Right, this is a done deal. This is going at number 1. I think, and I want to make the case that maybe you guys do not like this album as much as me. That is clear. I understand that. You are wrong, but that's okay. However, I want to make the argument, Crazy Crazy Nights, Turn on the Night, Reason to Live, just based on those 3, it comfortably should go at the top. I think. Just those run of songs. I think this is their best album on all fronts. The songwriting, the production, the mix. But I would also probably put it up there with Hysteria by Def Leppard or Slippery When Wet by Bon Jovi. You know, that kind of indestructible hip hop, hair metal albums. I just love this album. I tried to look at it objectively. Yes, maybe some of the things you were saying were true. Some of them I straight up did just. I mean, Bang Bang You. I was like, yeah, probably. Lyrics to No. Yeah, probably. I don't know what you're talking about with Good Girl Gone Bad or Thief in the Night. I disagree with those, but I just think, is it the thing where the power of nostalgia can be that strong with someone that it becomes indestructible? And I think that's what's happened, at least with me. This album brings me nothing but joy, and it would feel completely wrong for it to go any other place other than number 1 for me. And I do genuinely think that it's not just that, and I do genuinely think as well, and again, maybe it's just the power of nostalgia, that it is genuinely better than everything we've had previously. Okay? Because I did try to come up with an open mind, but I was like, what? This just bangs. This bangs. You know, I couldn't, even when I tried to question it, I couldn't. It's just indestructible to me. I love this album. I love this album so much. It's a great album. Danny, what are your final thoughts? Or Alex? Who wants to go next?
I do have some disagreements with you, Alexei. Like, I don't think this is just like absolute classic track, amazing track, one after another. However, I do think this is overall a much higher quality than albums we've had in the past. And when I look at now of our list where Creatures of the Night is number 1, I'm looking at the track listing now. I think this goes ahead of it. Not by like a huge amount, because I do like Creatures quite a bit. But this album, they managed to strike gold multiple times, which is just incredible. I didn't I didn't think we would get this from Kiss, honestly.
Yeah.
And even the ones where like I don't like the songs that much, or I think it's kind of a mess or a bit all over the place, I still think they're fun listens, and there's something to get out of them, whether it is a solo, whether it is Paul being really goofy, or like, you know, with some of the Gene tracks, like there's like a decent chorus there, or like kind of like a solid riff or drumming. So even though I'm not as in love with you, as in love with it, I should say, Alexei.
You're not in love with me? You're going to tell me now? I'm breaking up with you.
There's reason to live, but it can't be your love, I'm afraid. Okay. I'm not as in love with it, but I still think it goes number one. Danny?
I think, at least, to correct me if I'm wrong, I think from your perspective, you say that, like, obviously there's 3 tracks you really like, but this is, like, polished, it's fun, it's a party album, it never really stinks at any sort of point. You know what I mean? This is a competent, does the job, does what it does on the tin. But is that that's kind of vibe I'm getting off?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And on previous albums, even ones we liked, there was always 2 or 3 tracks where I'm like, well, they didn't really try with this one, or it just felt like kind of rushed together. And
yeah,
I don't think we got that with Crazy Nights. Like, I'm just making an assumption here, but the fact that they took an extra year off with this album has paid off a lot, in terms of just giving them a bit of space, trying out different ideas, and probably put a bit more focus on each track than in previous ones. Yeah, for that reason, it goes on top.
Danny.
Well, I think we should acknowledge that our familiarity with this album hasn't just affected our opinion today, but I think it's affected our opinion of their work so far. I think we've all been looking forward.
Sorry, you made an excellent point there, because this is one of the first albums I got, and then let's say you're like, oh, it's great, I'm going to put on buy Rock and Roll Over, and you play it afterwards, it completely fucks you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It completely fucks you, and then you're like, oh, I'm just a hard luck woman now, going to making love, like it just you know, it's just ridiculous. Sorry, carry on.
I've mentioned Lordi multiple times at this point, and I think, again, it's offensive to sort of act like I'm basing. Anyway, I know Lordi better than I know Kiss, so that's how I base it. And I think I can hear a similarity here on this album with a lot of Lordi stuff, which is a positive. I understand and appreciate that their core fan base and even casual fans, like especially in the States, have that, I've mentioned the word mythos, around their 70s output. And I have, amazingly, through this little exercise that we're doing, come to appreciate that a bit. I've mentioned to you guys, I like, you know, hearing about, or rather, I'm not even just hearing about, I just like the feeling of the 70s Kiss. I love hearing the stories. But I maintain that this album here is what their career was building up to sonically. I want to know everything about them as a band in the 70s. I want to hear the conversations they had. I want to hear stories. And I have been watching live videos from those eras. And they're great on stage, and there's something very sort of historical. That sounds too grand, but you know what I mean, like a piece of history. But we need to remember that musically, what they sounded like back then, especially on their albums, and it's not been we've not exactly been showering them with praise. Kiss sell their fans a rock and roll party dream of fun, sex, and vague self-help. This album, maybe not sex, but has made me feel that deeper than any other album they've done. So, Alexei, you need not worry. This should go at number 1.
Absolutely. Well, we did it. We can stop now. I don't think we have to do any more albums. This isn't going to get fucking moved, is it? There's fucking loads.
Heart
like,
in the Shade.
Oh wait, Heart in the Shade. Heart in the Shade, Revenge. Oh, Carnival of Souls. We have to do that. The grunge album.
I think we should do the fucking
Unplugged.
The Unplugged one too. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yes.
Maybe it's great.
Yeah, and then Psycho Circus and Sonic Boom and
Oh,
Monster.
I can't wait.
And that's it. I mean, this isn't getting moved though. This is not. I mean, it would take a. I don't know. I mean, I can't remember those albums that well. Maybe there's something on them. Right.
We'll have to see. All right.
What should we
sing?
end on? Well,
Ah.
Thief in the Night, obviously. Good Girl Gone Bad, obviously.
I don't know which one to end on.
It's got to be
actually
Turn on the
struggling.
Night. Turn on the
Maybe.
night.
Okay, should we try it?
No.
Do.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
do
yeah.
it. Let's do it. 1,
Turn on the
2,
night.
3, and turn on the night. I can't wait, can't wait, can't wait, Lord. Turn on the night. I wanna feel this
I can't wait.
Hey, Gene!
Nice.